Hey guys, welcome to STUDYCHEM. In today's video, we'll be covering an intro to chemical reactions, including physical versus chemical changes, types of chemical equations, and the basics of stoichiometry, which in this case would be balancing chemical equations. First of all, a physical change is a change that doesn't alter a substance's chemical composition. This would include changing states of matter, which can be shown in these charts.
On the left is a typical graph showing the states of matter and their transitions, comparing heat energy on the x-axis versus temperature on the y-axis. On the green diagonal line, we have the solid state. On the blue, liquid, and on the red, gas. The horizontal lines signify transitions between the states. As you can see, during transitions between states of matter, the temperature remains constant. This is because all of the energy is used in the transition and there's none left to increase or decrease the temperature. Now, this second graph is another way of showing the states of matter and their transitions, but compares temperature versus pressure instead of heat versus temperature. In the leftmost region is the solid state, and to the right of it, liquid, and to the right of that, gas. The lines between states signify phase changes. In the top right is the critical point, or the temperature and pressure at which both the liquid and gaseous states exist at the same time in a supercritical fluid. In the middle is the triple point at which all three states of matter exist.
A chemical change, on the other hand, alters a substance's chemical composition. These are most often represented by chemical equations. There are three main types of chemical equations: word, skeleton, and chemical. Word equations are made up of, well, words. They outline the equation without symbols and include important stuff like states of matter. I would recommend annotating these to help you set up your equations. Skeleton equations include symbols and states of matter, but aren't necessarily balanced. In this step, you'll want to write your charges as hats and crisscross your ions, and don't forget your Kleiber for diatomics. Chemical equations are the same thing as skeleton equations, but balanced. We'll cover how to balance equations later in this video. There are also two types of ionic equations, ionic and net ionic, which you'll learn more about in displacement reactions. For ionic equations, split all of your compounds into ions unless they have a state of matter. This means if a compound has the aqueous state of matter, then it should be split into ions. Keep your state of matter compounds in the equation though. In net ionic equations, cross out the spectator ions. These are ions that appear on both sides of the equation and don't really contribute to the reaction, so go ahead and get rid of them. Keep everything else in the equation though. Reduce coefficients if necessary. Now onto stoichiometry. Stoich, in this case, covers the quantity of reactants and products in a chemical equation. The law of conservation of mass states that the mass in any chemical equation stays the same before and after the reaction. The number of atoms of the reactants equals the number of atoms of the products. Basically, it means balancing chemical equations.
There are many methods of balancing chemical equations. This one is the most straightforward and keeps you from getting mixed up. First, write each individual element beneath the skeleton equation on both the product and reactant side, and tally the amount of each one. Don't forget to distribute coefficients and subscripts. Then, start placing coefficients in front of the elements whose tallies don't match, and keep adjusting for unbalanced elements until they all match. Remember to distribute your coefficients to each element in the compound. Here's another example. Try pausing the video and trying this problem on your own. Note the tricky subscripts and remember to account for those in your element tallies down below.
So that's it! Hope this video helped. Feel free to check out the study concepts below this video and other review videos.